So to get a job, you have to have experience, but to get experience, you have to have a job. So what are we supposed to do? We'll find out in today's episode. So if you're looking to get a job with absolutely no experience whatsoever, I think there are really three things that I think have really helped me personally whenever I've needed to job bounce or go into a new industry, and how I tried to break into every new industry that I've done, which I'll mention in today's video. So the first thing I think that's really highly recommended if you're looking for a job that is with no experience whatsoever is to physically ask yourself and to see if you truly do not have experience whatsoever. And what do I mean by this is that because there's many people that I personally find that maybe they don't necessarily have specific industry experience in a certain field, but they may have actually done a certain something in their life, whether it's a hobby or even a volunteer related thing that they can use to transfer and sell it as experience. In fact, sometimes the stuff that you do on your own free time might not only be transferable experience, but it is legit experience. So what do I mean by that is, for example, if let's say you're looking for a sales job, right? I know actually, and I say this because I actually did look for a sales job. I had no experience working in the sales industry, at least the professional sales industry. Like if I wanted to become a sales engineer, which is actually the job I was chasing at the time. However, chances are you might have at least maybe even sold something in your life, you know, even if it's working retail, or even if you've never even worked sales in retail before, you might have maybe sold something. Maybe you did a volunteer assignment, maybe you sold brownies, or you did a fundraiser. You know, in my case, I remember I used to, when I was a kid, sell a lot of my things all the time. I would sell trading cards, those like Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I would basically sell things off eBay, Amazon, social media, people in real life. A lot of this stuff, you can use it as transferable experience. In fact, I'd even go to argue that this experience is not only is it transferable, but it is sales. It's not like, you know, I'm trying to spin it. It is sales experience. And this same exact logic you can actually apply to so many different industries, especially in the creative space. You know, maybe you've never worked in, I don't know, like you've never wrote in a famous article of some kind, but chances are if you want to become a writer, you've had a piece of written work before. You know what I mean? It could even be for school experience. You know, maybe you have a job that involves working with people. Maybe you volunteered at like with old people, or you volunteered to help younger kids, or even just, you know, just doing general stuff in your daily life. If it's engineering or tech, maybe you've coded your own project before. All of this stuff you can use as transferable experience, and I think that's a huge thing. The second big thing I think I really recommend if you're looking for a job with no experience, I think, is to possibly go and start up your own project, to build up your own personal experience. And basically the one sentence is to go entrepreneur. So what this basically means is that if nobody really wants to hire you to do a certain craft because you don't have experience in that craft, you can actually potentially just leave and then self-teach yourself, become self-taught. Teach yourself the skill and build up your own experience. If you're looking for going back because I love the creative industry, if you want to pursue something in the creative industry, for example, you can start to create your own projects. Start to film things on your own. Start to write your own articles. Start to like make your own music, you know, seek out your own gigs, do your own, you know, project and assignments, create your own thing. You know, a lot of this stuff, you can search it out. You know, if you wanted to get a job in engineering or coding or tech, start coding your own project. Of course, this really depends on the industry you're in, because for example, I know I used to be in construction, and you know, I can't do construction because I'm only one man. You know what I mean? But again, you know, like you can use this for so many different assignments. And if you really need to, by going the entrepreneur route, the other thing you can also look into is doing volunteer work. Because a lot of places that need volunteers, they will just have you hop on. You know what I mean? Maybe you want to get some food industry experience, you can help out at a soup kitchen. I know it sounds kind of lame, but you know, it is related. You're working around food, you're serving it to people, you're going to be in a kitchen, so this stuff is very related. And if you go the entrepreneur entrepreneur route, the best thing is maybe you might actually end up learning so much about the entrepreneurial world that you may actually start to enjoy, and maybe your projects can actually escalate to something that you might not even need a job anymore. And that's so awesome, isn't it? And I think the cool thing is, I always say this, is when you start to build up a business, even if at the end of the day, if your business doesn't escalate, because I can tell you this as someone that has tried to build up businesses and still do, the sheer amount of knowledge that you can gain in the process of being able to build up a business is so insanely valuable that I can almost bet you that so much of that experience you can use to sell yourself in the future if you end up going back to trying to look up trying to find an actual legitimate traditional job. Being an entrepreneur, you will learn all sorts of crazy things, from like sales, marketing, how to work with people, networking, all that kind of stuff. And of course, you will learn about how to improve your skill in the specific craft of whatever your business is centered around. If it's food industry, you'll probably learn to work around food, cooking, all that kind of stuff. If it's a tech business, coding, all that kind of stuff. If it's a marketing business, marketing skills. If it's, you're gonna learn so much about, if it's writing, you're gonna learn about your style of writing, what you can do as a writer, what you have to offer to people. And you create so much value as trying to someone who's pursuing being an entrepreneur, that stuff can really help you. And I think the third and final thing that you can do is, if you're looking for a job with absolutely no experience whatsoever, is to network. And I think it is just so valuable. For me personally, I'll tell you this, I have never used Indeed.com, Monster.com, any of those like big job sites, except maybe the 2 summers after my freshman and my sophomore year of college. But ever since then, other than those like few months, I've never used it, and I don't even like it. And the reason why is because I know that the problem with the job searching process is that there are just thousands and thousands of so many applicants out there that if you try to send out your app, not only is it probably the most inefficient way to do it, especially again if you don't have experience, because if you have experience, you're golden. If you have experience, you can craft that top resume. But if you don't have experience and you don't have the top of the line resume, chances are all that's going to end up happening is you're going to send in your resume, they're going to just glance at it, and it's going to look exactly identical to the other like 50, 100 resumes that they received, and they're going to shuffle it, and they're like, who are you? I don't know who you are. So that's why I say the best thing you can do is to network. And it is so beautiful, because by networking, you're able to go straight to the source and try to find the job there. Because I know when I used to use those like big websites with like the thousands and thousands of jobs, the problem is that then what ends up happening is you just get a whole bunch of unresponded emails, messages, nobody responds back, they just overlook it, it's all dodged. The hiring people, they play chicken and run away, and they don't want to respond to whatever you want to say. So it's hard that way. That's why I think the 2 places that I really recommend if you're looking for a job would be LinkedIn, or basically just social media, because LinkedIn is a kind of social media its own way, or real life. Everything, just go into the real life world and find people there. Now, in terms of how do you physically network, this is probably a video for another day. I'll probably be releasing this to really go in depth on how do you master the game of networking. So subscribe for more so you can get notified when that comes out, and that might even be already out by the time you're watching it. So if it is, you could check the description. But yeah, subscribe, and yeah, we'll see. And I think what's really nice about networking is that when it comes to meeting people, you don't even necessarily have to meet them through some kind of like career-based event. It doesn't even have to be through like a career fair or like a reception of some kind. You can technically actually meet people and network anywhere you go. It could be a coffee shop, it could be on the street, anywhere you go you can network with people. It could even be like a hobby-based activity. I know when I started my career, I was very involved with music. And even when I was looking for a job like in the engineering and tech space, there were so many times what was really nice is that because I would meet someone through the music community who just coincidentally happens to be working there, I was able to get advice from them and meet them and learn about the company. And the best thing is that by having even a hobby-related interest, we already have something to bond over. And as long as you have something that you can build a bridge to attach onto, doing this, you can now build that connection and go from a hobby to a legitimate career, to profession, to advice about the actual job. You know, I had a friend, for example, once who was looking to get out of his job, and I think what ended up happening is he went to some like bar, I think, we went together, but we went to some like bar that apparently attracted a lot of people that worked in finance. So just by doing that, he was able to just have a drink with some guy and talk to him. And I think in the end, they even exchanged business cards and contacts. So now he's officially just built a connection. I don't know if he ever actually got the job through him, but there's a networking. That's what, you know, is involved. And when you have that biased connection and relationship with the people that you want to potentially work with, a lot of times, sometimes they can even overlook certain small, minor qualifications that maybe you don't fully have ready, but that they maybe see you can potentially learn very, very quickly. And I'll say this, like, I think that networking has probably been one of the best things that I've really been able to really done to help myself in my career. Because for me personally, I'll tell you this, like, I graduated with one of the lowest GPAs in my graduating class, which is terrible. I don't even want to say what it is. I mean, I'll tell you this, I've had classes where I had the absolute lowest grade you can possibly have and still pass. So if you passed, you could have only tied with me or done better. But by networking, it helps so much, because even at the end of the day, if you don't end up getting a job through that person, by just simply networking, you're able to talk to that person and learn about the profession, especially if you're, again, likely new and have no experience whatsoever, right? To see if that's really the job you even want to pursue going forward, and if it's something that you think you're really going to enjoy, it gives you a better picture about what it's really like to work in that industry. So basically, to summarize everything in the three things that we mentioned, is that if you're able to basically just dig deep and think about ways that you maybe have transferable experience, or ways that you maybe have already had experience but you just didn't realize you had that experience just because it was never in a cubicle or some kind of like specific workforce environment, or if you're able to go the entrepreneurial route and just build those experiences on your own, this is a very, very powerful thing that you can possibly do to give you a leg up. And again, even if you start up your own business and it doesn't escalate to what you wanted it to do, you will learn so much about it, and you'll have so much to be able to talk about during your interviews and just even in your just daily personal life in general. And the final thing that I highly recommend is to network, to go out there, meet people in real life. It doesn't even have to be through a career fair. It can even just be through daily activities, through people you just meet, through just casual cold conversations, to people you just run into in your daily life. It will help you so much, and I can bet you that you'll be able to find many, many jobs depending on the industry, because some industries are probably more sensitive that you do need experience, but for many, many people, it'll help you so much to getting your dream job if you're not necessarily the most qualified person. So hopefully that helps, and if you enjoyed this, like, subscribe, comment, or if you don't like it, just leave a comment about what you didn't like about it or what you think could be improved. Thank you guys so much for watching, and enjoy until the next video.